Today, we're going to dive into a world where huge secrets are unraveled with something as simple as Google Maps, and where major crimes are exposed using, believe it or not, social media videos. Welcome to the world of open source intelligence, or OSINT. It's the art of finding the truth that's hiding right out in the open. And it all kicks off with one really powerful question. I mean, that sounds like the plot of a thriller movie, right? But this is very, very real. This question, it gets right to the heart of how incredibly powerful and, how accessible intelligence gathering has become for pretty much everyone. And to really see this in action, we've got to talk about one of the most incredible citizen-led investigations of our time, the tragic downing of Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 over Ukraine back in 2014. So while governments were doing their official thing, this group of online investigators at a collective called Bellinghat, they just got to work. And their method was just brilliant. First, they started gathering photos and videos that ordinary people had posted online. Then, and this is the really cool part, they used publicly available satellite maps to geolocate every single post, matching things like road signs, buildings, even specific trees, to prove exactly where each photo was taken. By stitching all these verified sightings together, they were able to map the entire journey of a Russian Buk missile launcher as it moved into Ukraine, right to the spot where MH17 was shot down. Think about that. No secret agents, no classified files, just information that's out there for anyone to see, plus some serious critical thinking and digital know-how. That right there is the essence of open source intelligence. And let's be super clear about something. OSINT is not hacking. Not at all. It's all about finding, collecting, and analyzing info that anyone can legally access. We're talking social media, news reports, satellite images, public records, and turning all of that noise into something useful, or in this case, something that changed everything. It's so easy to think of OSINT as this purely digital thing, something born out of the internet age. But what if I told you that its roots go back way, way back? That's right. Long before anyone had ever heard of a web browser, spies were using the open source information of their day to get a leg up on the competition. Just think about it. During the American Civil War, spies were using the personal section in newspapers to send coded messages in plain sight. Fast forward to World War II, and you have Allied analysts just listening to public radio broadcasts. There's this one famous story where they figured out they'd successfully bombed key railway bridges in France just by noticing that the price of oranges in Paris had suddenly skyrocketed. Then, by the 90s, the US government was being warned it was ignoring this whole information revolution, a failure that became tragically clear after 9/11, leading directly to a new agency dedicated to open source intel. So for literally hundreds of years, the game was the same. You had to meticulously comb through public stuff to find those little hidden clues. The only thing that was about to change was the scale. And oh boy, did it change. You see, the internet didn't just create a new source of information. It unleashed a tidal wave. The entire discipline of OSINT wasn't just updated, it was completely redefined from the ground up. This shift totally flipped the script. Back in the day, the hardest part was just finding the data. It was scarce. You had to dig through dusty archives. Today, the challenge is the complete opposite. It's filtering the data. We're literally drowning in it. I mean, to put that into perspective, we're talking about an estimated 147 zettabytes of new information added to the internet every single day. That is a mind-boggling number. It's an amount of data that's almost impossible to even comprehend. And all of this data gave birth to a super important new field, social media intelligence, or SOCMINT. All of a sudden, platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn became this absolute treasure trove of information. Geotagged photos, professional networks, daily routines, all of it shared willingly and publicly by us. But here's the thing. With all this public data floating around, these incredibly powerful techniques can be used by anyone, for good and, for bad. OSINT has become a real double-edged sword. It's a tool for both the protectors and the predators. And nowhere is this more obvious than in cybersecurity. On one side, you have the good guys, the cyber defenders. They use OSINTs to look at their own companies from the outside, to see what a hacker would see. They're looking for leaked passwords or software that needs an update. But the bad guys, the threat actors, they use the exact same methods. They'll scrape LinkedIn to get employee info for a targeted phishing email, or search sites like GitHub for passwords someone accidentally left in the code. It's this constant cat-and-mouse game being played out right in the open. And because of this, OSINT isn't some niche skill for spies anymore. Not by a long shot. It's become an absolutely essential tool for law enforcement, for journalists verifying their stories, and for corporations trying to understand their own risks. So, where do we go from here? Well, if the internet was the first massive revolution for OSINT, then artificial intelligence is definitely the next one. AI is getting ready to automate and speed up this whole process on a scale we've just never seen before. And you know what they say? Follow the money. The global OSINT market is projected to more than triple in just 5 years. We're talking about a jump from nearly $15 billion today to around $50 billion by 2029. And that growth, it's almost entirely being driven by AI. But here's a really interesting twist. A recent study found that AI tools actually made experienced coders slower, not faster. And why? Well, it was because they had to spend so much time fixing what they called sloppy AI code, and were getting distracted by constantly having to switch from their work to writing prompts for the AI. It kind of suggests that AI isn't this magic wand that solves everything, at least not yet. And beyond just the tech hurdles, we're walking into a massive ethical minefield. I mean, just because data is public, does that make it fair game to be scraped and analyzed by an AI at a massive scale? How do we stop these AI models from just amplifying our own biases? And in a world with convincing deepfakes, how can we even trust what we see anymore? These are huge questions, and we're only just now starting to figure them out. Which brings us to what might be the most vital point of this whole thing. In this new age of automation, technology is an incredibly powerful amplifier, but at the end of the day, it's still just a tool. The ability to think critically, to verify a source, to understand context, and to make ethical calls, those human skills are now more important than they have ever been. So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with this one last thought. In a world where basically anyone can be an intelligence analyst and information is absolutely everywhere, the responsibility for finding, for verifying, and for defending the truth, well, that falls on all of us. The question isn't who has the information anymore. The real question is who has the skill and the integrity to use it wisely.